Well, then I want to come to conclusion discussion section. Well, first of all, I had this personal journey, so I was triggered by this by this moment of change. But during the research, I found out it's not only a moment of change. You also have to look at the changes that fail to happen, because it learns you something about the change that do happen. And at the end, it also said, well, it's not only about this scheme, about the moment of change, about a stable situation. You also have to be aware of the time frame that you work on. You have to be, well, it depends. Now, the results can be completely different if you make an adaptation plan for 20 or 100 or 150 years. Then to answer my question, I think that complexity theory helps us to understand innovative planning processes. And I made this visualizations of how the process is going, and I discussed that with a lot of practitioners, also the people that we did interview, and they really had some kind of, what we call it, aha erlebnis. They really recognized this is more or less how it is going, how it works. So these are the problems that we face in practice, and they are not too much described in the planning handbooks. And the second, well, so the graphs of the schemes enable us to describe and also test generic and specific patterns in different areas and different kind of plans. Yeah, so the question that I also asked myself then is, okay, so in the beginning I looked backward and to see what planners, what they did. So then it's interesting to talk with them, okay, can I help you now in the project you are in? Well, there were some conclusions to be drawn there. So what I say to a project leader, if you are leading a complex project, well, first of all, you have to be aware of complexity of any project. It can be complex. It doesn't necessarily change suddenly, but it can always happen. And that means that every project leader should prepare for the unexpected and should not worry about it, because, well, it's life. And the challenge is to control the unexpected, and that seems some kind of paradox, and it is. But many project leaders, they say, well, I'm in a very unstable environment, and what I do is I have my plan, I have my budget, so I work on it, and I try to keep this disturbance out, but I make periods of change. So I make opportunities after 1 year or in a certain moment where I can let all this disturbance into my project, and we can discuss, okay, do we have to change it, or can we go on, or are there any things to happen so that we have to go to another kind of project. And by doing this, it's better to control the instability, and sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not needed, but they use it, and well, it's quite related to the windows of opportunity. Well, then, some things to discuss. I think if you are a project leader, and if you have a complex project, it's very important to use and to trust your intuition in a way. Not everyone has the same intuition, but most project leaders and also politicians and key persons, they have quite good intuition in what's going on. But in a way, this is not integrated in planning literature, that sometimes you just follow your intuition. So it's very difficult how to deal with this, but it's something that you see and that you hear from all the key persons in the complex projects. Another discussion is, can we only react on unexpected results? So are we just small planners in the hands of some global uncertainty or whatever? Or can we also actively use unexpected events as a project leader? So is it possible that someone thinks about, well, I want to do a crazy idea, and no one takes me serious, but I will manage and I will use all the complexity and try to come through and also succeed. And I think that is sometimes what you see happening as well. And finally, I think you have the comparable patterns of sudden change, of routines, of pressure, of attempts to withdraw a sudden change, and so on. So the patterns like which resemble the behavior of complex systems, and we have it in revolutions, in financial crisis, in economies, and education of children. So sometimes I'm wondering, and that's what I want to go in for the next period. Are these comparable patterns, and is there some kind of, not unifying theory, I think that's too ambitious, but can we see this kind of patterns coming up in other happenings as well? It's not only land use planning, but maybe also history. I think that's the final discussion I want to pose, and I thank you for your attention. And I hope I made the 45 minutes.